thought in the early 1950s, the Korean War was a civil war between the North and South that involved the superpowers, with the Soviets supporting the North and US supporting the South. Both superpowers treated this as a proxy war that allowed facilitation of their ongoing battle for supremacy. This conflict arose because of several reasons, and they are the motivations for each party's involvement, as well as the geostrategic Cold War outside of Europe. So what were USSR's motivation, and how did their involvement lead to the start of the Korean War? Let's examine USSR's motivation. First was their desire to expand communism. While Stalin did not want USSR to become involved in another war immediately after the end of World War II, he still placed the interests of the USSR as first priority and wanted to see the expansion of communism. A united communist Korea would further secure Russia's borders, threaten America's new ally Japan, counter increasingly obvious American efforts to bring Japan within its system of post-war military alliances. Second was the encouragement that he got from the communist victory in China. This made him more confident of the communist bloc strength and pushed him to maintain the momentum generated by Mao's victory in the previous year. Third was the assurance that US would not get involved. In January 1950, in an important speech made by Secretary of State Dean Acheson to the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., he implied that the Korean Peninsula was not within the defense perimeter that the US had. In other words, omitting South Korea from a list of countries which the US would automatically defend in the event of aggression. This made them think that the US would not get involved, convincing him that a second front was now feasible in East Asia as the risk to USSR was now minimized with the absence of US involvement. Fourth was the need to compensate of the setbacks USSR had encountered in Europe, which he thought could be gained by a quick communist victory in Korea. Lastly, there was also the added advantage that direct Soviet involvement was not needed, as the North Koreans would take the initiative and operate under the pretext of unifying their country. For all these reasons, Stalin gave the green light to Kim's invasion plans and agreed to send technical and financial aid, as well as military advisors to aid the North Koreans in their invasion. Kim Il-sung. He was the communist dictator of North Korea, a nationalist who wanted to unify the Korean peninsula under communist rule. He was encouraged by the extent of support for communism in South Korea and the growing opposition to the regime of Syngman Rhee, then South Korean leader. He thought that he would be welcomed by many South Koreans as a liberator and champion of the Korean unification. Kim thought the civil war would only last for a couple of days as based on Acheson's defense perimeter speech. As Kim thought that unification would result in a quick victory, he managed to convince Stalin to agree to his invasion plans and send North Korea military supplies and advisors as well. The approval from the Soviets only gave Kim more confidence, which then led to the eventual crossing of the 38th parallel. The USA's inconsistent foreign policies also contributed to the start of the Korean War, as it caused Stalin and Kim Il-sung to misinterpret USA's involvement in Korea. Once again in January 1950, Dean Acheson made a speech implying that under the defense perimeter strategy, American forces would not be used in Korea. This caused Kim to misinterpret USA's role in Korea, and he aggressively invaded the South. However, once they saw this, USA policymakers thought that Kim was acting under Stalin's instructions and the invasion was an instance of Soviet expansionism. Thus, they saw the need to intervene to repel Soviets' influence in Asia. The USA feared that once Korea fell to communism, the rest of Asia would follow suit. And this was known as the domino theory, which Truman used to justify the need for US intervention in the Korean War. The geostrategic Cold War outside of Europe was also a cause for the start of the Korean War, as the ongoing battle for territorial supremacy was the root cause for the superpowers' participation in the Korean War. At large, the Korean War was an avenue for the ongoing Cold War to manifest in, allowing the superpowers to battle for territorial supremacy. Soviets' desire for expanding communist influence into Korea was just one of the many lands that Soviets had wanted to extend their communist ideals on. Others of such lands would be in Eastern Europe states such as Bulgaria, Poland and Romania, where underhand tactics were adopted to install pro-communist governments. Also, in northern Iran, where wartime agreements were breached to retain a military presence there, even after the war. This exemplified Soviets' territorial ambitions that was present throughout the duration of the Cold War. US, on the other hand, had adopted a containment policy which was extended outside of the Korean War. This is evident in the Truman Doctrine, where aid were provided to countries under communist military threat such as Greece and Turkey, allowing them to have monetary support of $400 million that allowed the facilitation of war efforts. This showed US ongoing containment efforts on communism that was not exclusive to Korea. The geostrategic Cold War outside Europe thus led to the Korean War, as it acted as a proxy war that allowed both superpowers to demonstrate their supremacy without engaging open warfare, which was the fundamental reason for the ongoing Cold War.